Welcome. We are discussing our second chapter, Calculus of Scalar Fields. Right now, we are going to start our ninth module, Chain Rule for Derivatives of Scalar Fields. Learning objectives of this module. In this module, we shall study two different forms of chain rule for derivatives of scalar fields. At this point, let us recall that when we studied calculus of single variable, we had only one chain rule. Then we shall come to matrix representation of chain rules. And finally, we shall discuss some examples showing applications of chain rule. In literary sense, by a chain, we mean a connected series, set or sequence. Here I have mentioned the source. Let us put stress on the words connected and sequence. We accept the flavor of ordering from the word sequence. Let F and G be two maps, where F is a map from A to B and G is a map from C to D. A, B, C, D are arbitrary sets satisfying B is a subset of C. Then for each x in A, we can define another function h from A to D. Note here, A is the domain of F and D is the codomain of G. And the defining rule for H is Hx equal to G of Fx, and we shall denote H equal to G compose F. Here the maps G and F are connected by the rule range of F subset of domain of G. Moreover, the ordering first F then G is fixed, so that G compose F is well defined. However, some authors prefer the notation H equal to F compose G, which we shall never use. We are already familiar with the chain rule for derivatives from our courses in single variable calculus. Let us recall it here. First, we give the statement, let F and G be two real valued functions of a single real variable such that the domain of G contains the range of F. If F is differentiable at a point A, continuous in some neighborhood of that point A, and G is differentiable at the point F A, let us call it B, then first the function G compose F is differentiable at the point A. Whenever it is differentiable, the next question is what is the derivative? The derivative of the function G compose F at the point A is given by the following: G compose F dash at A equal to G dash F A, F dash A. Both G dash F A and F dash A are real numbers, so that their product is well defined. Let us express it in another form. We write y equal to f x and z equal to g y. Then we have dz dx at the point A equal to dz dy at B, B is f A, into dy dx at A. That is, we can write dz dx equal to dz dy, dy dx, as if in the right hand side one dy in the numerator and another in the denominator take care of each other. So, this is a very visually appealing form for us. In this module, our motivation is concentrated on derivatives of scalar fields. So, let us start with a scalar field F defined over a set A, which is a subset of R n. We further assume that the scalar field F is differentiable at a point A, where A is an interior point of the set A. Now, our target is to apply chain rule. So, we need another function which is differentiable at a suitable point. Now, there are two options for us. We can compose it before f as well as after f. Depending on this, we have the following two options. First option, let gamma be a smooth curve that is a map from an interval I to Rn such that the trace of gamma is contained in Fa and A is a member of trace of gamma. Then we consider the composite map H defined by F compose gamma, which is a map from I to R. Now, since F is differentiable at A, the point A can be approached along any smooth curve passing through it. In particular, in this case we choose gamma. The other option, let G from B to R be a differentiable function such that F A is a subset of B. Then G is defined and moreover it is differentiable at the point F A. So, we can think about the map J equal to G compose F, which is a map from A to R, where A is a subset of Rn, and investigate for the differentiability of J. If we look carefully, in the first case, gamma mapped I to Rn and F took those points in Rn to R. So, H equal to F compose gamma is a real valued function of a single real variable. Now, for the second case, F took maps of F was a map which took points of Rn to R and G took points of R to R. So, the map J equal to G compose F takes points in R to points in R. So, J is a scalar field defined on a subset A of Rn, that is J is a real valued function of a single real variable. So, whenever we have chain rule, our target is to prove the differentiability of the composite function. We have two differentiable functions. So, we have two first order Taylor formulae, one for each, and our target is to combine them. Hence, our strategy will be to think how we can combine two Taylor formulae and make them into one. We start our first result. Let I be an interval, gamma from I to Rn is a curve, that is gamma is a continuous map defined over I and its codomain is Rn. Also let A be an open set in Rn and F is a scalar field defined on the set A such that gamma I, that is trace of gamma, is contained in A. We define a composite function h from I to R by for every t in I h t equals f of gamma t. Let A be an interior point of the interval I such that gamma dash A exists and f is differentiable at the point gamma A. Then h is differentiable at A, that is h dash A equal to f compose gamma dash A exists. Next, if we consider h dash A as a real number, then we have h dash A equals with inner product of grad f at gamma A and gamma dash A. To make it clear, let us look at this diagram. I is an interval in R and we have taken some arbitrary point t in I, gamma takes it to Rn and we can see the curve gamma, gamma t is point and gamma of I, that is the trace of gamma, is within an open set A and f is a scalar field defined on it. So, it takes it again in R. Now, and we are defining h equal to f compose gamma. So, h t is nothing but f of gamma t. We start the proof. Let us first denote gamma A equal to B. So, B is a point in Rn. By proposition, gamma dash A exists. As the set A is open in Rn and B is a member of the set A, we can find positive R such that the open sphere SBR with center at B and radius R entirely lies within A. We take a real number T such that gamma A plus T is well defined, that is A plus T must be a point of I, as well as gamma of A plus T must be in the open sphere SBR. Now, let Y be the vector gamma A plus T minus gamma A. So, Y is in Rn. Now, gamma is continuous at A. So, when T tends to 0, gamma A plus T tends to gamma A, that is Y tends to the 0 vector of Rn. Let us denote gamma equal to gamma 1 up to gamma n. Now, the increment of H, that is H of A plus T minus H A equals f of gamma A plus T minus f of gamma A. We put here the value of y, so that we write f of gamma A plus T minus gamma A, which is y, plus gamma A, which is B, minus f of gamma A, that is H of A plus T minus H A becomes f of B plus y minus f B. Since f is differentiable at the point B, we have the first order Taylor formula, which reads as f of B plus y minus f B equal to inner product grad f B and y plus norm y E B y, whereas y approaches the origin, E B y tends to 0. Hence, we have H of A plus T minus H A equals with inner product grad f B y plus norm y multiplied by E B y. If we consider only non-zero T and put it here, then we can find H of A plus T minus H A by T after some calculation equals with inner product grad f B gamma A plus T minus gamma A by T plus norm of gamma A plus T minus gamma A by T times E B y. We have shown the calculations here. We consider limit of both the sides of the above equation as t tends to 0. Then we find the following: limit of H of A plus T minus H A by T as t tends to 0 equals with inner product grad f B limit of gamma A plus T minus gamma A by T as t approaches 0 plus limit of norm gamma A plus T minus gamma A by T times limit of E B y as t tends to 0. Now, the limit of gamma A plus T minus gamma A by T must be gamma dash A, as gamma is differentiable at the point A. And from our first order Taylor formula, we know the limit of E B y is 0. So, if we put all the things here, finally, we have inner product grad f B and gamma dash A equals the limit of H of A plus T minus H A by T as t approaches 0. So, the limit exists, that is H dash A exists, in other words H is differentiable at the point A. Moreover, H dash A equals with inner product grad f B and gamma dash A. In such a case, we find that H dash A equal to inner product of grad f at B and gamma dash A. We write down their expression. So, we have gamma 1 dash A del f del x 1 at the point gamma A plus sum up to gamma n dash A del f del x n at the point gamma A. In the above, we considered H dash A as a real number, not a linear transformation. If one considers H dash A as a linear transformation from R to R, then in the left hand side he should write H dash A operating on 1. Now, the next result, that is another form of chain rule. Let A be a subset of R n, f is a scalar field defined on the set A such that f is differentiable at a point A, which is an interior point of the set A. Also, let G from B to R be a function where B is an open interval containing the set F A. We further assume that G is differentiable at the point B equal to F A. We claim that the composite scalar field G equal to F compose A from A to R is also differentiable at the point A. After some time, we shall show this in a diagram. Let us start the proof. Clearly, F defined by G compose F is a scalar field defined over the set A subset of R n. We select H from R n such that A plus H should be in A as well as F of A plus H should be in B. From our assumption, we find that A is an interior point of the set A. So, we can always find some H such that A plus H is in A. Moreover, B was an open interval containing F A. So, we can always find H such that F of A plus H is in B. Since F is differentiable at the point A, it is continuous at that point. Hence, as H approaches 0, we define a term k by F of A plus H minus F A. Obviously, it should tend to 0 as H tends to the origin. We have shown the picture here. A is a subset in R n. F carries the points of A to R, in particular in B, and G carries the points of F A to R. So, we have the map capital F equal to G compose F. So, it is a map from A to R. Now, we first find out the increment of the set the function f for which we are going to check the differentiability. We find f of A plus H minus F A equal to G of f of A plus H minus G of F A, that is nothing but G of B plus K minus G B. Since the function G from B to R is differentiable at the point B, we can find a linear transformation G dash B from R to R such that we can express G of B plus K minus G B equal to G dash B operating on K plus mod K E G B K, where K tends to 0 implies E G B K tends to 0. As K is a real number, norm K is nothing but modulus of K. Similarly, as f is differentiable at A, there exists a linear transformation f dash A from R n to R such that we can express f of A plus H minus F A equal to linear map f dash A operating on H plus norm H E f A H, where H tends to theta implies E f A H tends to 0. So, in this page we find two first order Taylor formulae. We have to combine them so that we can find the Taylor formula for the function capital F. We have f of A plus H minus F A equal to G dash B operating on K plus mod K E G B K. In the first term of the right hand side, we write the value of K, that is f of A plus H minus F A. Now, we write the value of A plus H, f of A plus H minus F A. So, we have f dash A H plus norm H E f A H. That is, finally, we have the linear map G dash B operating on the term f dash A H plus norm H E f A H, and that is added with the term modulus of K E G B K. So, we have f of A plus H minus F A, that is G dash B operating on f dash A H plus norm H E f A H, plus we write here the value of mod K. So, it is modulus of f dash A operating on H plus norm H E f A H, and that is multiplied by E G B K. Now, we apply the linearity of G dash B. So, that first term becomes G dash B operating on f dash A H plus G dash B operating on norm H EF H. The second term remains as it is. So, finally, we have f of a plus h minus f a equal to the composite map G dash B compose f dash a operating on H plus norm H E A H, where norm H E A H is nothing but sum of the remaining terms, that is G dash B operating on norm H E F A H plus sum of mod f dash a H plus norm H E F A H, this term multiplied by E G B K. Now, we calculate the term norm H modulus E A H. Clearly, it is non-negative. Applying triangle rule, we can find that it is less or equal to norm H modulus G dash B E F A H plus mod f dash A H mod E G B K plus norm H mod E F A H mod E G B K. If we consider the middle term in the right hand side, it contains f dash a H. So, we can write this as norm of grad f a multiplied by norm H. So, we have modulus of E A H less or equal to sum of the terms G dash B E F A H plus norm F A mod E G B K plus mod E F A H mod E G B K. If we look at the right hand side, all the three terms contain some error term. As H tends to 0, all the error terms goes to the corresponding 0 vectors. And we know G dash B is a linear transformation, and any linear transformation carries 0 vector to the 0 vector. So, letting H tending to 0, we find that the term limit of modulus E A H as H approaches 0 is sandwiched between 0 and 0, that is E A H tends to 0 as H tends to 0. Thus, the map f equal to G compose f is differentiable at the point A, where f dash a equal to G dash B composition f dash a. This completes the proof. From the above, we can also find that gradient of f at A is nothing but G dash B operating on grad f A. If we write down the values, we can find that for each I from 1 to n, del f del x I at A equals with G dash B del f del x I at A. Now, we discuss matrix representation of chain rule. First of all, let us recall a result from linear algebra. Let U V W be three finite dimensional real vector spaces whose dimensions are n, m and p respectively. Now, we select three frames U1, U2, Un for U, V1, V2, Vm for V and W1, W2, Wp for W. Let S from U to V and T from V to W be two linear transformations. We assume the matrix representations for S and T with respect to these three frames be A and B. Then T compose S from U to W is another linear transformation whose matrix representation will be B A. Now, let us represent the chain rules we discussed with the help of matrices. We shall always consider the standard unit coordinate frames. First of all, we recall the first result. Here gamma was a curve in Rn and f was a scalar field defined on a subset of Rn such that the trace of gamma was contained in the domain of A. We found here that if H equal to f compose gamma, then H dash A equals inner product of grad f gamma A and gamma dash A. So, basically here we are considering three linear transformations: gamma dash A from R to Rn, f dash gamma A from Rn to R and H dash A from R to R. Let us denote the corresponding matrices by D gamma A, DF gamma A and DH A. Their sites are n by 1, 1 by n and 1 by 1 respectively. Then we have DHA equals DF gamma A matrix multiplication D gamma A. Usually we identify a 1 by 1 matrix by its entry. Here the entry of the matrix DHA will be H dash A 1, and that is nothing but inner product grad F at gamma A gamma dash A, and that equals with gamma dash A del F del x1 at gamma A plus sum up to the nth term, which is gamma n dash A del F del xn at gamma A. Now for the second one, we recall the result. In this case, A was a subset of Rn, F was a scalar field defined on A, which was differentiable at a point A, and G was a real valued function of a real variable whose domain contained the range of F, and we further assumed that G is differentiable at the point F A. So, we consider the composite scalar field capital F, which is G compose F, defined on the set A. So, here we are considering three linear transformation: F dash A from Rn to R, G dash B from R to R and F dash A from Rn to R. Like the previous case, we here denote the corresponding matrices by DFA, DGB and DFA. Their sites are 1 by n, 1 by 1 and 1 by n respectively. Here we can find DFA equal to DGB matrix multiplied by DFA. Now, we can treat any 1 by n matrix as a row vector. For each I from 1 to n, the ith element of the row vector DFA is given by del F del xi at A equal to G dash B del F del xi at A. Here we can consider G dash B as the real number. If one wants to consider G dash B as a linear transformation, he should write G dash B operating on 1. Now, we show some examples to show the usefulness of chain rule. Let A be a subset of Rn, F is a scalar field defined on the set A and F is differentiable at a point A, which is an interior point of the set A. If F A is not equal to 0, then the function h x defined by 1 upon f x is also differentiable at the point A. We can easily recall that we earlier proved this result, but from the definition. Here we shall prove it again using chain rule, and we can find this time will be easier. Since f is differentiable at A, it is continuous at A. As f is continuous at A and f A is not 0, we can find some neighborhood of the point A where f does not vanish. So, we can find a neighborhood of the point A, say set B, where the map H is well defined. So, we define G a map from F B to R by G x equal to 1 by x for all x in F B. As in B, it never vanishes, the map G is well defined. Now, G is differentiable at the point F A. So, by chain rule, the composite function H equal to G compose A from A to R is differentiable at A. Moreover, we have H dash A equal to G dash F A F dash A. We know the value of G dash F A. So, that is nothing but minus 1 upon F A square, and hence we have grad H at A equal to minus 1 upon F A square times grad F at A. We consider another scalar field F defined over the Cartesian product of Rn with itself to R. If xy is any ordered pair in Rn cross Rn, we define f of xy as inner product x y. Obviously, f is real valued and we want to check the differentiability of f. Now, we can treat f as a scalar field on R2n defined as follows. We take x equal to the n tuple x1 up to xn and y equal to y1, y2, yn. By definition, f x y equal to x1 y1 plus up to xn yn. So, we are considering a map R2n to R as x1 up to xn, then y1 up to yn goes to x1 y1 plus up to xn yn. Let us consider a map where x1 to xn, y1 to yn goes to x1. We have 2n number of similar maps. All these maps are projection maps and we know projection maps are linear transformations. We have earlier seen that linear transformations are differentiable. So, all these maps are differentiable. Now, these two maps which sends x1 to xn, then y1 to yn to x1 and which sends this point to y1, both are differentiable. Since the product of two differentiable maps is differentiable, this map is also. And we know we can find n many similar maps like this, all of which are differentiable. We know that sum of two differentiable maps is differentiable. We can extend this result to finitely many cases. So, sum of finitely many differentiable maps is also differentiable. So, the map x1 to xn, y1 to yn goes to x1 y1 plus up to xn yn is also differentiable. So, using chain rule, we find the differentiability of the desired function. We also find for each a b in R2n, that is a in Rn and b in Rn, grad f at the point a b equals del f del x1 a b up to del f del xn a b followed by del f del y1 a b up to del f del yn a b. And this is nothing but the 2n tuple b1 up to bn followed by a1 up to an, where a is the point a1 to an and b is b1 to bn. Consequently, f dash a b operating on x y is the vector derivative f dash a b x y, and that is inner product grad f f b x y. Here it is the inner product of R2n. We write the values of grad f f b and x y. So, finally, we have b1 x1 summation up to bn xn, then a1 y1 up to an yn, which is nothing but inner product bx plus inner product ay. In the last line, we have written inner product of Rn. We have shown here another example, and this shows how chain rule makes our calculations easier. The problem is the following. Let u be a real valued function of two variables x and y, where x and y are functions of a single parameter t. We assume the differentiability of all the functions. Now, we can consider u as a scalar field from R2 to R. So, we denote u equal to u x y, where x equal to x t and y equal to y t. We define f as f t, which is u operating on the ordered pair x t y t for every t in R. If we define a curve R as R equal to R t, which is the ordered pair x t y t, then R is a curve in R2, and also we can express f equal to u compose R. By proposition, both R and u are differentiable. Applying chain rule, we can find f is also differentiable. So, with this we can find the value of f dash t, and this will be simply inner product of grad u at x y with r dash t, which becomes del u del x x y x dash t plus del u del y x y y dash t. We can express this in a nicer form, that is del f df dt or du dt equal to del u del x dx dt plus del u del y dy dt. Using the earlier steps, we can also find the value of f double dash t, which we have shown here. So far, we have deduced two different forms for chain rules of scalar fields. Later, when we shall study chain rule for vector fields, we can find that these two are particular cases of it. With this module comes to an end.